We were hurting.
But God healed us.
We were broken.
But God saw fit to put us back together.
Today we're walking together in our purpose.
And now we teach other couples how to do the same.
I'm Gerald Benton.
And I'm Yvette Benton. And this is Fiery Topics in Marriage.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, people. It's Friday.
Oh, my goodness. This is Fiery Topics podcast from Marriage Works If You Work It podcast edition. Thank you all for coming in. It's always amazing to be able to share and speak with those who are listening to our podcast. It is on Apple, on Spotify. This is always cool to watch the number of people that listen to the podcast.
Amen.
Love it, love it, love it. So we've got some
Special edition.
Yeah, it's a special edition. So lately we've had the opportunity to bring people on the podcast.
Yep.
And that's always nice for us. And today is the first time we're bringing in mentees, spiritual son and daughter. So we're going to talk a little bit about the what saved our marriage.
Yes.
What types of things that we've had to do, the types of things that were necessary to literally save our marriage. Yeah.
My God.
It's a lot, right? It's a lot. When we think about it, it's like, okay, how many things do we do to save our marriage?
Right.
And we want people to know that it's really a never-ending list of things.
Right. That's why we got the title Marriage Works If You Work It.
Because it's work. But we we share all the time that the work that's needed, the work that's necessary, is so important.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the fruit of it, not just in our marriage.
Right.
Because that piece is so huge when you think, well, this marriage isn't worth it, so never mind, I don't want to put in the work.
Right.
But we're seeing the fruit in our spiritual sons and daughters. We're seeing the fruit in our biological children. We're seeing a difference in our ministry and marketplace. All the things we're learning is not just for our marriage.
True.
So putting in this amount of work, because we've had people say, you know, he's not worth it, she's not worth it, but are your grandchildren worth it?
Come on now.
Are your children worth it?
That part.
Is your ministry worth it? Is God worth it? Right?
Yes.
Your kingdom destiny, is it worth it? Don't let the enemy trick you into thinking it's just about you and your spouse.
My God.
Because it's not.
And God is not. He's always looking ahead of things.
Oh my God.
He's into the destiny and the future of a thing. And we're sitting in the midst of our now.
Right.
And he's looking for us to invest in where he's taking us.
Yes.
What's coming behind you.
My God.
What if we can stop thinking about, it's almost like a self-absorbed place. You're just being self-absorbed because of how the enemy attacks. And he wants you to be self-absorbed. He wants you to just think about yourself and think about your situation. But God is like, if you would actually be the sacrificial person or the sacrificial lamb,
right,
to be able to take this and mature in this and grow in this, that I'll do the rest.
He'll do the rest.
And that's literally what God has truly been doing, even in the marriage. In the marriage and the ministry, whatever it takes that we have to just willing to sacrifice, whatever it is that we need to do for the marriage, for the ministry, whatever, family.
Right. So key. Well, so we have some guests with us today, and we're going to introduce them, and not only introduce them, but I'm super excited because they've literally been with our ministry for several years.
Yep.
Like we're probably working on 5 years, and a lot of people don't realize we're so much more than marriage, right?
Yep.
We're ministry, we're marketplace, and so people get and find the ministry and then work on their destiny, their family, their purpose. But we have an amazing couple that is going to join us on the podcast. It is Devon and Max Jackson. The Jacksons.
What's up? Hey, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you all for being with us today. It's always super exciting to work with our sons and daughters in the spirit. And what we're talking about today is the marriage retreat.
Mm-hmm. Let's go.
We have had three marriage retreats, and we are embarked on the fourth. We are right in the midst of planning and getting ready for the fourth. We had one in Georgia.
Yep.
We had one in Hawaii, and we had one last year in Florida. This year going to San Juan,
Puerto Rico. Yes.
and we're
Yes.
excited. But what's amazing about the Jacksons is they have been to every retreat.
Come on now.
Let's go.
Super,
Pioneers.
so it's super investment in your marriage. So what we wanted to do is really talk about what are some of the advantages that you all seen investing in something like a marriage.
What are some of the things?
The advantages that we've seen in investing in our marriage.
Wow, that's a good question.
I could definitely say the first thing was the development of our communication. So it's being mindful of how we both communicate and what are the things inside of our communication that the other is not able to receive. Like, how am I communicating and the message is just not getting to Devon. And so I had to learn how to take a moment and pause and make sure that when I start talking to him, I'm talking to him in a way that he can receive it, in a way that he hears it, can understand it. And this is my big thing, not to give too much.
Come on.
I would give too much. And Devon's like, I shut down after the third sentence. So
Lord.
I've learned, especially through our activities at the marriage retreat, how effectively communication can take your marriage and turn it right around.
So that's so important to bring up because as marriage coaches plus as individuals who struggle for many years in our relationship, I can tell most people when they come to us, when they do sessions, one of the first things they say is, we gotta work on our and communication is like the love language. When you think you know and you're clear and share spouse, but they don't understand you, or they don't receive what you're saying, or they misinterpret what you're saying, it really hinders the relationship. So we do activities at the marriage retreat, not only to talk about love languages, we taught on that as well, but how to communicate. And in fact, we spend a lot of really fun times finding out, do you really know your spouse? Do you know how you work together? And so, yes, we do some teaching, but a lot of it is more activity based. We really work on activity-based strategies for couples, fun games, partnering type games. So what are some of the activities you remember that you enjoyed?
I think it was the one we led. It was the Family Feud. Yeah, that was fun just because that was probably the first time. Well, I enjoyed it on many fronts. One, being the host and clowning around with all the other couples. That was fun, and making them laugh and things. I get joy out of making people laugh and smile. But I think the best part about that game was it was her and I working together, and it was that teamwork. It just reminded me of how we were in college. Just bouncing around. Flowing off of each other's energy. But this time it was the marriage energy that was happening, and so it was different. And it's like we had each other's backs. Like if I was going a specific way, she's just let me go that way. If she was going away, I was like, all right, let me back up. It was like a tag team, but it was right. So it was the teamwork aspect of that game. I think the last one I loved this one stood out or still stands out. It's the Legos and how we built the our structure, our foundation. Yeah, we really collaborated on, like I had we that, and also it was the sandcastle, right? Building. So we actually learned from the sandcastle, and which made us better for the foundation, because the sandcastle one, there was some tension there, and we just weren't in agreement. We weren't in sync, and then we realized it's okay. So this is why we're not doing what we need to do. And so then when we got to the building of the Legos, building the foundation with the Legos, we knew what to do right away because of what we learned in the previous activity. So I think for me, it's the teamwork aspect of all of them, all of them.
That you can spend every day with a spouse and realize we don't take time to have a good time. We don't take time to work together. We're just so busy with kids and work and finances. So taking those 2 or 3 days, like our retreats are 4 days. So take those 4 days and work together. You take those 4 days and you have a good time, not just a good time together, but also enjoying amazing places. Like we said, Florida and Hawaii, Atlanta. So it's really important to us when we hear you say, well, we were doing the sandcastle and we had to course correct, right? But even it was only 1 day difference, but you were able to shift your thinking, your teamwork. We got to go in Team Benton, Team Jackson, and you all had a big anniversary this year, and so it's not just for couples who are new to marriage. So what's your big, are you hit the double digits this year?
Come on now, 10 club.
We're 2 hands.
10
We're
club.
2 hands.
10 club. Yeah, that was huge. That was huge. That anniversary was really huge. Just because it was a prophetic act. It was a declaration to the devil that he didn't win and he's not going to win. It was specific. Some know our story about being separated for 2 years and all that stuff, and some don't. So at some point we'll tell it at when we get an opportunity. But it was imperative that for me specifically, for both of us as one, but for me to tell the devil, you lost, bro. Like you lost, and you thought you had us, but man, you were mad because our destiny is still on track. We still, the term power couple. A lot of folks refer, we're fortunate where folks will say to us that we're a power couple, but it's different when you actually believe it. Like I believe that we are a power couple, mainly because we are on the same page, right? Mainly because we're on the same page, and so being on the same page is huge. And I wanted the enemy to know, guess what? We're on the same page now, and you can't stop us. And we understand that you're still going to try, but we're on the same page enough that we can rebuke you when you try to come. When that spiritual warfare comes, we're prepared for it this time. We're prepared for it.
And I think one of the, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say one of the activities helps us build on that. And the first year we did an activity on how well do you know your spouse. And we thought we knew each other well.
Here we go.
That was good.
And we did not.
Here we go.
We did not. I think out of 20 some questions, we probably got four right.
It was a little bit more, but go ahead.
Y'all, we thought we knew each other. And because we lost so miserably that year, it forced us the next year leading up to the next retreat to really pay attention to one another, to really get to know one another's strengths, their weaknesses, likes, dislikes, to actually sit down and just have regular conversation. Just talk regularly. We made it a point to just literally sit down and talk, not just talk when we have a conflict or we have an issue or we have a problem that we have to solve, but we literally would sit down and just talk. Alleviate things off of our mind, tell some jokes, just have some fun and talk. So by the next retreat,
Yes.
we scored a little bit better, and each year we kept scoring a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that's the each year we watched each group grow.
Yes.
We watched each couple grow, from the games, from the communication, even the way some people were silent, introverts. And this last one, it kind of like shocked me to see some of the men that were kind of laid back. But this year, watching them go from the first year to last year, it was simply amazing to watch the growth and the excitement that they had. So, Devon, as a man, what was it expecting the first year, and through the years you come, what did you get out of it?
A lot. I learned how to study my wife. That was one of the instructions. Study your wife. And so like I would ask specific questions or just watch how she would respond to things. So that was one thing. But I think the best thing that I've learned that I'm very proud of is the spiritual sense of being married and what it means to be a priest, prophet, and king. That is the biggest thing I've learned when it comes that the marriage retreat and also being a part of the ministry, but specifically the marriage retreat have given me practical ways to live out being a priest, prophet, and king. And so that's what was missing before. That's what caused the separation. It was that leadership piece was just missing, right? I didn't know what to do. I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know what to do. And so once we reconciled and the first retreat was there, it was an investment. It was like, you know what, we need to do this because it was a way for us to steal away, right? And focus on us, because, we have, we're busy lives and we try our best to do the date night and things. We squeeze in date night however we can, but this was focused. It was like, you know what, let's go away and really focus on you and myself. I remember, I think it was the first one where, the very first one where there was specific time for us to talk. And we went and we sat, it was 2 chairs and we sat across each other and we just asked each other questions. We were just talking and it was stuff that I wouldn't normally ask. And so when I found out some of those answers, it was like, oh, okay, got it. And it also allowed me to adjust on how I do it because, I was thinking about doing this way, but now that I have a specific answer from you, now I can course correct, like you said before. So it gives you practical application.
Which is so important because say practical application, we're spending a lot of time studying the roles, reading and the scriptures. And so we get revelation. But at the retreats, we really are working on implementation. What are we saying we're going to do? And that is key in the kingdom. Sometimes we have revelation from the word, but to whom much is given, much is required. So this is a safe space to put some of the work in and try some things and start adjusting instead of putting the pieces together little by little. We get this concentrated 3 or 4 days where we're truly saying, okay, this is just for us. We're going to put some things away because it can be expensive. And we spend the money. And we've talked about on the last podcast, investing, really making an investment in your time, making an investment in studying in terms of sessions or in terms of things like marriage retreats. And wherever we put our finances is really where our heart is, right? And so do we spend what's necessary to say, I need this time together, and then utilize the learning and the fun. So it's not just learning, but it's learning through fun activities. But those fun activities, even 3 years later, you're utilizing some of the things that you gained.
Yeah. And I like the fact that we have a lot of people that return.
Yes, I love
You know,
that.
we do have a lot of couples that return because I really believe that they're getting what they need. They're
Yes.
getting the resources that they need. They're getting the time that they need. They're getting the skill set, you know, fine tuning the skill set of communication, intimacy, friendship, even just the fact of, can we work together in building something, you know, just building something and seeing how we work together.
Right.
Our minds work together. What's the plan? What are we gonna build? What are we gonna do? I just love watching. I love watching the Legos. I really love the sandcastles because it was very unique how each person, each group decided what they were going to build and how they was going to build it,
Right.
and how
The competition.
yeah,
Was
yeah, the competition is really off the chain from the first one, to third
Yes.
one, and I expect it to be the same thing next year. I mean this year. So I love the fact that people are coming like, nah, I'm gonna change. We gonna get some points.
Right.
I'm gonna be able to answer, like you said. I'm gonna be able to answer some of these questions or get some answers right about my spouse, of knowing my spouse, or knowing, you know, the things that come up, that you actually know them. Because something that you said, Devon, was that I studied my wife.
Right.
That was that was one of the first things that we talked about in the first retreat, was we have to be able to study our spouse. We have to know when our spouse goes into the next level. Now, each year our spouses change, and we have to be aware of the change. It might be a subtle change, or it might be a drastic change.
Right.
But our eyes have to be open to it and ready to make some adjustments on how we deal with it, how we move with it, how we operate with it, because the enemy will come with things that tries to bring roadblocks, delays, hindrances, but how do we respond to them? And so some of the games should be able to, okay, this is how I remember in this. So it brings the Holy Spirit, bring back to your remembrance the working together, the studying, the note taking, all of those things that we see in y'all, in the growth of the couples, and to be able to watch you to grow and mature, like you said, Max. Yeah, that first one.
Right.
Yeah, the answer, that thing, to see people's faces, that was priceless, because you was like, dang, I thought I knew you.
Right.
When you simple, do you know the color? You was such and such. No.
Yes.
That stuff is beautiful.
My favorite part is the fact that it's one of the only events that the men have to agree to attend.
Yeah.
Right. So we do boot camps, and we do other types of events all over the country. And they can come, but you can come without your spouse. The marriage retreat, the men have to be there. So we obviously have way more men at that event than others, and they have a good time. They have a good time. They participate.
They build a friendship.
And they're building a friendship, not just going with the spouse. And when you're in certain circumstances, you don't know, you're building camaraderie. And so it's not like we see every couple all the time, but to watch men, one of the most heartwarming memories I had is one of the retreats. One of the men said, I didn't know. And I just needed someone to tell me. And it was so heartfelt. It's men praying over other men to cancel demonic assignments off of them. It's men realizing this is a safe space to say, normally I would say, yeah, I got it. But here I'm going to say, no, please show me, teach me. I want to learn, and then turn around and still have a really good time and respect and honor. That was for me last year. One of my greatest takeaways is watching the men bond and learn and be open to participating. So it's really an amazing opportunity, and we wanted to really share about it because we can't do it without people sowing, and we've had people sow 1 year and then the very next year their spouse is they've been reconciled or they're getting married, all kinds of testimonies and stories of people sowing into the marriage retreat and then reaping a harvest.
Right. You know what to go back to the men is we had a lot of men that were introverts.
Right.
That came out of their shell, that were laughing, talking, active, building friendships, building relationships. And that, because, when you think about it, as a man, you think about these marriage retreats, you're like, that's a woman's thing. But it's the difference between the marriage retreat that we host is to watch men be men, but build relationships that are authentic.
Right.
You really and truly, like one person said, when I left, I didn't want to leave because I wanted to be with those guys. Mm-hmm. Those guys made me feel good. They made me feel loved. They made me feel welcome. They made me feel like I can do better in my marriage as well. Right. And to listen to that and to hear that, it's like a testament to the men that have come from the first one to where we're going, and being able to bring the other people that come in, bringing them along. But because if they're getting help, and if they're healthy, and if they're feeling good about it, when they go home, they're willing to put in the work. They're willing to go the mile because I've learned something. I'm not just out here trying to wing it. I've learned something. Wow. I learned how to do this. I learned how to study. I've learned how to get through conflicts, whatever it may be. There's tools that they have now that they can go back home and implement. And so watching the men grow, I now understand that if these men come and these men grow, then the family, it gets solid. The family gets put into a good place because now they know how to lead it. Like Devon said, that the leadership, just not understanding the leadership part of it, but having to walk and to lead. Regardless, you're gonna have to lead. You're gonna lead one way or another.
So what would you say to a couple that are attending?
I don't come with expectation. I learned to turn my expectation off and let God do what God needs to do. Just to comment,
open-minded,
open heart, open mind. To comment on the men piece, the impartation that came from the diverse ages and the diverse years of marriage. That was what I learned from folks who weren't married as long as we were, and I learned from folks who were married longer than we were. So we sat next to the last time we sat next to a couple. I think they were married 15, 20 years. There was a couple that was married, I think over 30 or 30 years. But
that retreat we had from a couple that was married 3 years all the way to a couple that was married 40 years. They literally were with us on their 40th anniversary. So you're right. It's a diversity of years and experiences.
That's the part that I loved, because it taught me so much. The impartation from the men was great. And it wasn't like you would think that it's apostle, that would give all the, give all the revelation and things. He would just sit back and let the other folks do it. Yes, he did. Yes, there was revelation from the host, obviously, but there was a lot of revelation, a lot of impartation from just men, right? There was one session where, I think it was the last session, where we just prayed for each other, and that was wonderful. We walked around the room, we set the atmosphere. These are strange. Some of them are strangers. I don't know these men, but I know them in the spirit, because we were walking around the room just praising God. Like we got in a circle and prayed. It was intimate, and that was the thing that I loved about it. And I wasn't expecting that. Again, I go into things with an unexpected mind. I expect to be blessed. But how I get blessed, I don't, however God wants to do it, but
not putting God in a box.
Right. There goes that phrase. Yeah. There goes that phrase again. But yeah, my advice would be to go with an open mind, an open heart, like she said.
And don't be apprehensive about it, but what if XYZ doesn't happen? What if it does? Trust that the Lord has his hands on you as a couple, and he's navigating these small things that you are doing to build up to the greatest thing, the reconciliation, the restoration, the return back to him. I say just go for it. What do you have to lose?
Wow.
What do you have to lose? Yes, there is a cost. Yes, you're going to have to put in the finances, but that's a vacation that you probably need anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's an opportunity for you to be introspective and reflect on what's going on with you, reflect on what's going on with the two of you. It's a safe, private, fun space. If I'm going to just take a stab at it and jump and take a leap of faith, I want to do it in a space that is going to cultivate me. It's going to change me. It's going to renew me. It's going to rejuvenate me. I'm going to walk away with something. So exactly. I would definitely take a leap of faith and just go and just do it because of those reasons.
And I will add this, there are things to do outside of the retreat activities too. And we didn't do a lot of
last year we went out to dinner on our own.
Yeah.
Right.
But many times we didn't do a lot. We didn't do a lot of the outside activities. It was just, we were together. We were together, regardless whether it was a walk on the beach, whether it was, I don't know, sitting out on the deck, whatever it may be. It was just simple stuff. It wasn't like we had to have a lot, we got our flights, we played for the room and the retreat and all those type of things. We didn't have to do all the stuff. I didn't have to spend that much money because the goal was to spend time with her regardless. And at the end of it, I'm there with her. And so, yeah, it just was beneficial. And I'm gonna dovetail what she said. If there's something we can give to ourselves, let it be that, because we need a vacation anyway.
Don't we all? And then we always end with a vow renewal. And for us, that's super important as well, because although we've heard our vows, there's something important about giving God another yes. We say these vows so quickly, and it's like, oh, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, sickness and in health. And, oh, wait a minute, I said that. Yep. Oh, wait a minute, this is that. This is we got to stick around for better or for worse. This is, oh my goodness, I really need to renew that. So even though we've renewed our vows before, it's that annual time to renew. Okay, I'm making a commitment to you, right? And you're making a commitment to me, and we're reminding ourselves, even though this may be challenging, even though this it doesn't look like we thought it was going to look, or even though we're expecting some things, and we've been in the hustle and bustle of life, I'm renewing my yes. Yeah. And so that has been a really important part of the end, because we do verbally say. And last year we had a couple, he's kind of surprised everybody, including his wife. He bought his wife a brand new ring, and she was super shocked. And so when we were renewing the vows, no one knew, and then right in the middle of it, he gave her this brand new ring. And I mean, and we were all so happy. It was like we were getting new rings. It was just you just begin to build a bond with the other couples. But vow renewals are important, and we don't tell all the games and the different things. But even if we play the same games, we grow from it. We're learning. We're gaining information to be able to use it later. So we're thrilled to host it. And we practice what we preach. We went to a marriage retreat ourselves, to make sure it wasn't just always pouring out, because again, we've got to invest in what God is doing, realizing that it's so much more than our marriage. Like, it changes our ministry and marketplace. It has literally changed our children. It's changing our legacy. It's changing all we thought was so easy to let go of.
Right. I mean, once God had us to start doing these marriage retreats, I started watching what he was doing, and what he was doing in us and what he was doing in others.
Right.
And the fruit of watching the Jacksons grow, and the fruits of all of the other couples that have grown with us and took a chance. They just took a chance to, I'm going to invest in my marriage, and I want to see, and watching it grow from the first retreat to the third retreat, and to see where it's going this year. It really and truly has been phenomenal just to be a part of watching God move, watching God do what he does in family. Because that's this marriage and family is really and truly important to God. And I feel the heart of God when it comes to it. So investing in your family, investing in your marriage is investing in the future, the destiny of your bloodline, of your family. Because if this is healthy and this is built the right way, everything that comes after you looks at it as a model. And now you see, well, my mother and them, they used to go to retreats, and this is what they said, this is what they talked about, this is what they thought. And so when your kids get married, it's something that they desire to want to do. Going searching for marriage retreats, not necessarily saying come down, but searching for places, things that going to allow your marriage to blossom and to grow and to be strengthened. That is so important. And I don't think we look at the hustle and bustle of life, and we don't get to think about we got to have some time.
Have to.
Thinking about each year having a time where it's just we have to focus on our marriage if we want our marriage to survive.
Survive.
You got 365 days.
Yes.
And you're just gonna you're gonna really give 4 days? 5, depends on how long you stay. 3 to 4 to 5 days in investing in your marriage, but the tools to be able to take back, and now you get to work it, and now come back and evaluate what it looked like.
And you said something important. A lot of us are trying to break generational curses. So I'd love to hear what the Jacksons would have to say about this. But when I was growing up, I didn't see my parents put in this type of work. They may not have known, they may not have understood, they may not have felt like they had the finances. And our children see something different. They see us putting in the work. And so it's just a part of it's the marriage retreat. Okay, this is your time. You're going away for the marriage retreat. So we're literally training up a child in the way that they should go. They have to hear about it. They see us do it. They see the things we bring back home, some of the fun we have, and some of the relationships that we're building. When you think about being a generational curse breaker, this is what it means, doing something that maybe wasn't done, or maybe something you didn't see, and now our children see it as just the way it's supposed to be. So for the Jack, let's hear in terms of generational.
So in my family, we've had marriages that lasted years upon years upon years. However, there was never time taken out for keeping the marriage a priority. ministry either came first, church, governing the body of Christ, or jobs and education came first. Those were the priorities. And it didn't matter that marriages were 40 and 50 years long if the two people weren't walking in unity and weren't connected. When the focus is on something else, you are just simply roommates at that point, just living together for the namesake. And so for me to learn how to balance the demand of ministry, the demand of being a professional, a parent, you need to have that balance. And it took a while for me to learn, because I was one of those people that, well, it's my job, it's education, and I'm going to push that. Hence the reason why I didn't get married until I was in my late 30s. But what I realized, if I want this to work, I'm going to have to be intentional about it. And for us, being intentional means we set aside the money that we're going to need to go to this retreat. We make sure that our minds are open and our hearts are open, so that when we go into this retreat, we can learn, we can grow, we can have a couple of takeaways and start implementing them and work on them. That's one of the things that we try to do, is we try to at least walk away with 2 to 3 things that we're going to work on throughout the rest of that year. And we'll keep working on them. Sometimes we get to a point where it's getting harder and we just got to keep pressing. But there are a lot of skills that you learn in the marriage retreat. There's a lot of skills that you learn in the ministry as a whole that help you keep in that press. And then there are literally, because we have pressed over these years, these few years, there are literally some things that we press towards and it's done. It's over. It's easy. It's a quick work. So you have to realize that some things are going to be easy, quick work, and other things are going to require you to put in the implementation and be intentional. And that's one of the things that we see investing in our marriage. You have to be intentional. You have to be intentional about what it's going to cost you, time, energy. You have to be intentional about what is the expectation, what is the goal. It's okay to set a goal. Set some goals. And that's what we do. We have to at least have 2 to 3 takeaways so that we can work on something and so that we can see the fruit of it in the end.
Yeah, I think of the word, when I think about generational curse breakers, I think of the word toleration. Some of the marriages that I know in my family, it's kind of just, it was toleration. I think you said just roommates. It was toleration, right? And so what we did to get back together and stay together was canceling that generational curse, if you will, that, oh, we're just going to tolerate each other and just stay with each other for a while, right? I've seen, so that is the word that stands out to me, or that resonates when I think about a generational curse breaker, right? I have great examples in my mom's, my mom and my dad's marriage. You know, I have great examples, and then I have other examples where there was some rocky stuff in some other families, in the rest of my family. So what I love about that is the retreat is another portion of, it's like it forces me, and I'm speaking for myself, it forces me to be accountable to the things that I've learned the previous years. And for me, it's just about growth. When I go into situations, when I go into, you know, if her and I have a disagreement, I say to myself, okay, what could I have done to cause this to go another way? Or how can I have changed my answer so it could have got this result instead of that result? And so that's direct connection to what we learned at the retreat, right? Learning those, like I said, that practical application. So yeah, it's a direct investment in being a generational curse breaker.
No doubt. Well, we always get thrilled to listen to others kind of report back. It's our joy to really host these marriage retreats. We're going to do it as long as God says to do it. But if you are interested in getting information about the marriage retreat, you can go to our website, geraldandyvette.com. If you're interested in sowing a seed, just put, you know, I'm a big believer in naming your seed. At the Dual Dominion Conference, one of the speakers, Apostle Melvin, was talking about praying, fasting, and sowing. When you want to see something change, you got to pray, you got to fast, you've got to sow. And we've been super blessed by people sponsoring couples, by people giving money to a couple to help them with their fees, naming their seed and sowing it, purchasing it for someone else, or, praying about, what, it may seem like a large amount, but we're going to do it. We're going to trust God for it. And so one of our next podcast editions, we're literally going to pray. We're going to pray for and with other couples as we trust and believe God. You just never want to put God in a box or limit God. We've had couples at the very last minute, someone saying, I got a bonus on my job and I could afford it. Or someone said in the middle of the night, I woke up and God put your face on my heart and now I'm going. So we're going to do a special podcast edition where we're literally praying for couples, praying for the finances, for the child care, for the days off, and come into agreement with one another to pray and really ask God to open the windows of heaven and pour out blessings. So be looking for that podcast edition, or you can catch it on the platforms. But we're gonna pull down any strongholds. We're gonna decree and declare, and we're gonna make it happen. And then for those who sow, we're gonna speak life, and who knows what could happen next year. I mean, we've literally grown each year, and many of the individuals that end up going have sown in years past. So go to our website, geraldandyvette.com. Look up the information. There's lots of information about the retreat. The retreat cost covers the hotel. Obviously, you'll be paying your flights because you'll be coming from different places. But we are super excited about our next one. We won't even tell you what all of the activities, because we want people to come and be excited. But
It's Puerto Rico.
We'll be in Puerto Rico. We can't tell.
I see.
Because we've been to Puerto Rico before and had such an amazing time. So we're excited to bring people who've never been, and we're excited for people that have been to see it in a new way with other couples and enjoying themselves. Would you like to say anything to kind of close us out?
Yes, you know what? On behalf of the Jacksons, and my wife can follow me up. It's just a huge thank you to you all, the Bentons, because what some people don't know is you all spend your anniversary hosting us, right? And so many times it's around that same time. So we want to thank you for your sacrifice, and what you have done for me and my wife have just been great, and many other couples. But it's just to be in a space where you can teach me how to be a better husband, how to be a better father, and what it means to be a priest, prophet, and king, right? What it means to represent my family to God, what it means to represent God to my family, and what it means to govern my whole family according to what God says. It's a blessing, and it sets me up and the rest of my family for life. And so that's all because of what you all have been saying, or what you all have been listening to and hearing from God. And so he gives you all instructions and you do it, and it's not for the benefit of you, it's for the benefit of us. And we grab hold of that stuff. And so I just want to thank you. It's been a pleasure. And I'm excited about Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. I'm excited about it, right?
I am as well. One thing I just wanted to say is that marriage works if you work it. You have to be intentional about working it. And if you have no clue what to do in that work, come to the marriage retreat. Yeah. It's a safe space. It's a fun space. It's a great opportunity to pair up and partner up with other couples that are like-minded, that may be going through the same ups and downs that you're going through, that just come and support one another. And there you can learn. You can let your guard down. You can learn what it takes to put in the work. You can learn what it means to work. Sometimes we think that marriage works if you work it. It's always hard and it's arduous and it's something belaboring, when in actuality, it could literally just be us sitting in two chairs talking to each other.
Right.
Having intentional conversations did a world of good for us.
Love it.
I encourage you, just take the leap.
Come on, we'll see you there.
Take the leap.
We'll see you there.
I love that. We'll end with, we will see you there. So before we go, we want to remind you, marriage works if
you work it.
If you work it, marriage works. 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 If you work it.
Hey, all the way to the bay. Hey.
Thank you all for being with us for our podcast edition. Bye to the Jacksons.
Humming through our daily chores. Each day with you, I adore. La-di-da, la-di-da. Married life with you so sweet, making memories can't be beat. In laughter, love, and simple pleasure, we found our greatest treasure.